Very good, thank you. Again, my name is Martin Leiderman, and with my wife Susan, we run a study group in our home, Los Angeles. Of course, all of you are invited Thursday evenings, especially people who come in from Europe every Thursday in the evening. That means you can leave, that evening home and come back, right? Okay. Yes, I've been studying the secret doctrine from long time, and I wanted to share a couple of my influences in TSA on my studies of the secret doctrine. One of them is Joy Mills. Since we live in Los Angeles, I attended endless lectures and seminars by Joy Mills. You know Joy Mills? I don't need to introduce her, talk about her. And from her, I learned something extremely important: to study it. And by that I mean to really study it, to really know it. And by that is you got to read it, not think you're reading it. And by that means you read it slowly, she said, slowly, picturing in your mind while you're reading it. And when you get closer to an idea, capture that idea, get that principle, and go back and reread it, study it. And Martin, you don't know English, therefore look words in the dictionary. and from Venezuela, right? So that was a great teaching, because we think we know when we read it, right? Oh yeah, we read that book. Yeah, next, ISIS. Next week. Next. She really impressed me that to know the secret doctrine, you got to read it. And what I found in that reading is very impressive. First, there are 2 volumes. Each of them has 3 fundamental propositions. So there are 6 fundamental propositions and a friend. In each set of fundamental propositions are so important because they are the keynote of the divine wisdom. And those are the tools that we get to study the secret doctrine. So again, the way that I learned to study the secret doctrine is hard work from the beginning to the end. And to read, reread, understand. Then came along Shirley Nicholson. Do you know Shirley? Okay. I think Carol is going to talk, her daughter. She passed away not long ago too, and the head of Crotona for a while. She was also a great teacher of mine on Theosophy. She impressed me the idea of illustration, to illustrate the ideas, to illustrate the stanzas. And she came one time from Australia with all these illustrations and with slides. Remember those slides? No, digital. Remember those? You probably won't know. But and she was so excited. And Martin, look at this. Stanza 1, number 1. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I see it. So it was fabulous. So I learned to illustrate the ideas in the secret doctrine. And in that, I asked Joy Mill, what's the best way to study the secret doctrine? And she says, that's why we encourage study groups. Sharing. You can do it alone. And I have alone studied this endless hours. But in the study group is where you get the alchemical process. Have you experienced that? By alchemical process, I mean that everybody contributes. There is a synergy in the group that builds on each other's, right? And what comes out is something different from where you started. And what comes out is closer to the divine wisdom. because many minds are working together in the same cause. And that's what's the beauty of study groups. And you have experienced that for sure many times, Jerry, and others who run study groups. And that's why we started like 15, 18 years ago, the study group, and it's every Thursday. We just can't stop, unless I'm in ICT. but still it's Theosophy. So the study groups is very important. And I think that goes all the way back to the beginning. Isn't that true? Where they gather, including the Blavatsky Lodge, every Thursday, right? We pick up Thursday, every Thursday evening to study this secret doctrine. And therefore, a little bit later, I found the Bowen Notes. You know the Bowen Notes? And in the Bowen Notes, there is like a way to study the secret doctrine. And it's not page by page from the beginning to the end. And it's really interesting, right? For those who've seen the Bowen Note. For those who don't know what the Bowen Note, well, go and find out. It's in the internet now, right? But it starts with a summing up. Isn't that true? Kind of, right? Don't study this, study the summing up section in volume 1, and then study the fundamental propositions and so on. So I really like that approach too. I've done it too, and it's very rewarding to do that too. So how many times you're going to study the secret doctrine? Many lives. Don't even ask. It's endless, correct? Thank you for working with me. It's endless. Later on, not too long ago, like 10 years ago, I count in tens now, huh? That's good, huh? 10 years ago, I ran into a professor of Platonic studies where I understood that Plato, and I knew that, Plato contributed a lot as a material in ISIS and the secret doctrine. Remember, before the veil, it's just Plato in ISIS. Isn't that true? It's just Plato, basically. So I understood that if there is a lot in the secret doctrine from the Platonic world, I got to study Plato. And so we did. We embarked in the studies of the Platonic tradition, and that was very rewarding. And so what I'm suggesting to you is, as you study the secret doctrine, Blavatsky will put you in contact with traditions from the East and the West. Isn't that true? From everywhere. And it becomes really overwhelming. Because to explain something, she uses the pre-Columbians, the Sumerians, the islands in the Pacific, India, China, Tibet, and Egypt, and Greece. And then we go, and what? What am I going to do with that? I don't like half of that stuff. And that's the point. Where I'm going is, what you like, you dwell on it. In other words, look for the pearls in the secret doctrine and testimonials in the traditions that you love. Make sense? And whatever you don't love, you have a color for that. Which one? Use blue. Anything in blue, you don't care. You know, everything you like, yellow. You know, secret doctrines are there to mark and note, unless it's first edition. Don't do that on a first edition. So again, I understood that from all the testimonials and examples that the secret doctrine of Blavatsky refers to, I like few of them. One of them, of course, the Platonic tradition. Another, ancient Egypt. That's how you met me. And ancient Egypt. And then Kabbalah and alchemy. A little bit of Gnostic, a little bit of Greek. I don't like China. I don't like India. I don't like Tibet. I can't even pronounce Avalokiteshvara. You know? I don't even, can pronounce Amitabha. I mean, these are strange names, Ratmasan Baba, I mean, things like that. It's difficult. But whatever really vibrates in your soul, this is what each study group has to offer, and they're all different. Isn't that true? Why? The people and the leaders of that study group shape it. Shape it. Do I have like an hour and a half for this? No? No. How long?
A couple days.
Oh, so far so good. Therefore, from you please you do this to me. Okay, thank you. Therefore, from Plato, I understood that what I said on Thursday night, the ideas that shape the world pre-exist in the universe. And those are the ideas that are in the secret doctrine. And those are the ideas that we need to find out in them where they are. Once you find them, this is what we do in our study group. And I want to share that with you. We printed the stanzas of Xian in one piece of paper. This is just cosmogenesis. And then when we find one idea, we color it and we mark that idea everywhere we found. We link them, we study that idea, and then we formulate an image, we illustrate, we formulate an image, we do amplification with other traditions, and in the end, we try to connect and meditate with that idea, to see it in its fullness, if it's possible. So from the mind, we try to go to a little mystical experience with that idea. That idea is brilliant and it's important. And it's important, it's going to illuminate your soul somehow. So it's very. So this is another idea, right, that we use. It's called linking. And of course, Plato, the master of analogies, he teaches us how to use analogies and correspondences. The secret doctrine is full of them. Therefore, as I said on Thursday, when you find an analogy or a correspondence in the secret doctrine, work with it. There is a lot to learn. Remember, this is a learning experience. We are not reading. We are not reading for reading. We're reading to do what? Self-transformation. Into what? Into something that can contact and tap into divine wisdom. This is extremely difficult. It doesn't happen overnight and requires a lot of work. It's a new language. Imagine you take an ancient language, Spanish, and you try to learn it. You can't do it overnight, right? You can't just read the ABC of Spanish and have a dream in Spanish. This is impossible. So this is a new language, a new way of life, and it's transforming you as you get from it. You study that. So therefore, this is what we do, and therefore, the key thing here is to examine the fundamental principles as we found in the secret doctrine. One of the things that we do in TSA, and I enjoy it a lot, is to be able to get a second opinion on an idea found in the secret doctrine. And by that I mean that there are so many theosophical writers, besides Blavatsky commentaries in itself in the secret doctrine, and in that wonderful book published in the Netherlands, the commentaries, right, to the secret doctrine, the meetings of the Blavatsky Lodge, very important. Thank you so much. Invaluable book, maybe the last great thing we're going to get from Blavatsky. Isn't that true? These commentaries, thank you. And what I'm saying is that when you study a concept, just like in a study group, everybody participates and offers their way. Other authors in Theosophy has given us their thoughts and ideas about it. For instance, we have Annie Besant, we have Leadbeater, we have Sri Ram, and we have Jinarajadasa, and we have Joy Mills in the TSA. We have the Puruker and Judge and 10, 20 more. They're all second opinions for me. Oh, I was just getting into it. Very good, very good. And therefore, I don't discard any of them. And in the TSA, we treasure all that. These are second opinions. Isn't that incredible to have someone like, for instance, Annie Besant, who said, for instance, in some of her writings, she said, and also, and Blavatsky said this about this. Isn't that impressive? Comes second-handed, but it's very important. And then she said, on this, on the secret doctrine, I interpret it like this. This is invaluable, to have second opinions from people who were closer and closer to her. To end this presentation, I want to promote the idea that we can all study together, bringing everybody else as a second opinion. Everybody else. That's my personal view. First opinion is Blavatsky and the Masters, right? The master letters. They're great, great ideas about Swabhavat, life after death, and so on, right? The rounds, the chains, and so on. So I want to beg you that please open your heart to second opinions wherever you find them. And the secret doctrine will become very rewarding. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now we will hear from Johanna.